So it's not only an interesting topic, but it is an obligatory topic. It's not optional. So have some patience. This is, you know, usually Chiara used to give us 25 points, no, to do during the year. Here, the Pope is giving us 1 point for 3 years. So, we do it together with the Church. So we take it as something desired by the Pope, and so it's something very important for us. So I would like to speak to you a little bit, to introduce you to the theme of synodality through the vision of the Pope himself. Of course, I will be mentioning many times Pope Francis, and so have some patience. Thank God we are all Catholics here, so it's a bit easier, no? And yeah, let us start. I started with a question. Next slide. What is Pope Francis' vision of synodality? In 2015, Pope Francis spoke on synodality. It was the first time. In this important address, marking the 50th anniversary of the institution of the Synod of Bishops, he presents his vision, saying that synodality is what the Lord wants for the Church in the third millennium. Next. Synodality is not only crucial for today's Church, but also for its mission in the whole world. When Pope Francis speaks about synodal Church, he is basically referring to two important points. Actually, it's quite easy to tell you the truth. So we just enter in these 2 points now, and then I'll explain further later. Using big words in Latin, but they mean something very simple. Ecclesia ad extra, which is, in other words, the missionary church. In the Pope's first encyclical letter, Evangelii Gaudium, we can find the programmatic vision of his pontificate. The Church has to be transformed into a field hospital in order to cure our wounded world due to fragmentation, division, abuse of many forms, etc. The second point is Ecclesia ad intra, that is, the reform of the Church from within. Synodality is the key to reform the Church. It is the way to be, underlined, you know, to be Church in our current world. Next, please. Church that journeys and works together. That's how Pope Francis defines it. Synodality is actually a broad concept. This term dates back to the early Church, and the etymological meaning of synod is journey together. Journeying together. Hence, synodality is about being a church composed of lay people, pastors, religious. In this pilgrim church, all baptized persons are working together. Now, this word all, it's very important. Here we are saying all baptized means not only those who are in the Catholic visible church, but also in the invisible church and also in other Christian denominations, different ages, different professions, all, not only those who come for the parish council, to make it very simple. Next, the concept of synodality can be envisioned as people that journey and work together. Now I'm going to move on to 3 particular characteristics of synodality, which you know already by heart from the ideal and from what you already heard in your parishes or from the words of the Pope himself. Next, church that listens. In the process of journeying and working together, we need to listen to each other and to listen to the Holy Spirit. Listening is of prime importance. Second characteristic, next. Pope Francis puts a lot of emphasis on discernment. Coming from a Jesuit formation, this requires personal and communal prayer, sharing with frankness, or famous Greek word parousia, a communitarian effort to discern God's will. Third characteristic, next. Church is called to be synodal. Another key point of Pope Francis for today's church is that it should be governed by in a synodal way. Here he is drawing from a Vatican II ecclesiology. Next. So let's go deeper into what does it mean to be a missionary church or ecclesia ad extra. Pope Francis envisions the spouse of Christ as a missionary church. We have much more in common than differences. Let us always keep in mind that Pope Francis is Latin American. This continent has very much at heart the theology of the people. This theology emphasizes more the people of God than the hierarchical church. For Latin Americans, the church is the living reality of all baptized, and so one cannot speak about synodality without linking it to the people of God. Pope Francis draws his experience from CELAM. CELAM is the Episcopal Conference of Latin America. And they have organized many big meetings in the past in Medellin, Puebla, Santo Domingo, and recently, sufficiently recently, 2007 in Aparecida. Next. For Pope Francis, the way of the church today is to evangelize this world, to be in dialogue with this world, and to be a church of mercy. You remember the year that we had this Voltus Misericordia, no? The countenance of mercy. And the only way to do that is with the lay people. We just have to remember Amoris Laetitia, which is all about mercy. It's something which he draws from there, no? Now we go to Ecclesia ad intra. Are synods just like other meetings or assemblies? Are these gatherings similar to parliament sessions? No. Synodality is actually a way of being church. And this goes far beyond to the necessity of having meetings. The institution of the Synod of Bishops is a fruit of Vatican II. Just to see a little bit the background, no? Created in 1965 by Paul VI. And the original idea was for the Pope to have a kind of an advisory board and to have regular synods as events. The current Synod of Bishops or diocesan synods usually consist of a series of 3 events. There's a gathering of data, represents the preparatory phase, then followed by the celebration of the synod, and later the publication of the document to present the fruit of that particular synod. Pope Francis has, however, set a radical change. He envisions synodality as a process. Now, the word process for Pope Francis is super, super important. You find it in all his encyclicals. He doesn't want events. This is what I want to say. The preparatory phase consists of listening to the grassroots, consulting to the people in general, even children, not only a selected few. So it is all about listening. Then, the second part, the actual celebration of the synod is this communal discernment. And then there is also the implementation of the fruit as a third phase of this synod. Practically, Pope Francis is calling for a permanent synod. It's a continuous, it's a flow of synod, not just an event, one after the other. No, it is a continuous process, a permanent synod in our day-to-day life. In other words, we cannot speak of synodality for the universal church consisting of the synod of bishops if, first of all, we do not have synodality in the local churches. We are all part of a local church, and as faithful, we belong to some parish or ecclesial movement. Hence, we must be living this synodality in some form. Synodality begins in the parish or in the ecclesial movement. Next. Synodality needs two key elements: the institutional structures and proximity. A word on the institutional structures, just to understand a bit better. In a parish, this is the parish council. This is the main body of synodality. The pastor is supposed to gather regularly the parish council, where all the members of the council can discern together. Synodality consists of governing together. In this way, Pope Francis desires to move away from the clerical church. He wants everyone to be involved and not one to decide, but together. Therefore, at the local level, we have this body of the parish council, that should be the place of the consultation for discerning together. At the diocesan level, we have all kinds of councils. I mean, I'm not going to list them all, but there are so many. And they should function with this spirit of journeying together. Sorry, next, Randy, sorry, I didn't. Next. And again, next. Proximity, echo. However, for synodality to work, it is not enough to have good structures. We know it from the opera. Life is much more important. Synodality is a practice. It concerns some new attitudes, and it's also a kind of spirituality. We cannot implement synodality at a local level if the people are not formed about what is discernment, because this journeying together is about discerning the call of the Holy Spirit for our parish, for our diocese, for our community, and we can say also for our ecclesial movement. Next. Conclusion now. Synodality is about listening, dialogue, encounter, communal discernment. This is not aimed at having a better organization of the church ad intra, but it is for being this missionary church. It is meant to answer to the needs of the people of today, and especially under this pandemic situation that we are living. We know that we have to decide new things, find new ways to be church, and this is usually better to do together rather than being alone. Thank you.